Hello and welcome to the I'm going to start all over again. Hello and welcome to the MedTech Leadership Judgment, where each week we look at how judgment really forms before decisions get locked in. So today we're going to be looking at why experience often fails when context changes. I'm doing this because safe hires keep failing quietly. I work with boards, with CEOs in the medtech sector on senior leadership decisions, very particularly uh, chief medical officers, CTOs, and most risk doesn't come from bad people. It comes from familiar thinking applied to the wrong context. So in medtech, we hire experience to reduce risk. Makes sense, right? But 75% of ventures still fail to generate a return for investors. So the question is, do we hire experience alone? So what we're really looking at today is the big myth, so that we can address it and really answer the question: Are we hiring the right person or the right experience for this particular terrain? So let me share with you my slides so you can have I can share with you some ideas that may be useful for you. Let's get this on the road. Okay, so where? Okay, so moving, trying to get the slide to move. So the first one is a risky assumption behind safe hires. Why experience often fails in medtech leadership decisions. So the big myth we're really looking at is experience equals reality. So we look at somebody's CV and we look at all the wonderful things they've done. I'm sure most of them are wonderful. But if they've done it before, we assume that they'll do it again. Now, with the fast pace that medtech is moving on, and if you're entering new territories, you're going beyond realistic and achievable because theoretically it's not been done before, right? This is obviously for a pioneering company. So let's break it down into three limiting beliefs. The first one is same title equals same job. So what gets missed? The terrain has changed. There's different constraints and there's different costs of being wrong. So let me remind you that in the way you're operating, you're developing and gaining approval for a new medical device. Typically, it takes 3 to 7 years, and 75% of medtech ventures fail to generate a return for investors. Got to go figure out how to get to my next slide. Here we go. And so the next limiting belief is track record. So someone's CV, resume for my American friends, track record predicts performance. Is very similar to the stock market in some respects because track record doesn't guarantee that this will predict the future. So the data, what does it show? 40% of senior executives hires fail within 18 months. That's a massive figure. Not because of their capability, but because the context has shifted completely. The environment they worked in before is not the environment that they're working any longer. And then the third very important limiting belief is hiring experience reduces risk. So let's look at the maths of this, which is a senior mishire can cost up to 15 times the salary that you're paying them. So let's say you're paying them £250,000 a year. 15 times that is 3.7 million, 75 million as an order of magnitude of impact. And that excludes the medtech specific killer, which is time. That's the only limited resource, the true limited resource that you can't get back. So now combine that with the earlier stat that 75% of ventures don't return the capital. So time is the thing we've got to keep in mind. And then, a lot of people treats the CV as, okay, this is it. This is going to create something amazing for us. It's a map. And as you know, maps change. And so, sorry, as you know, the territory changes, the maps stay the same. The terrain, if you're operating in a new market, or if you're operating in the same market with a similar product, so much of the terrain will change because your competition. Maybe there's a new drug on the market, which might not be a direct competition, but it's your competition. Maybe there's new regulations. So, really, you won't know if the person that you're hiring is the right person until there's heavy duty pressure on them. And that will start revealing the true gaps. So, the key principle to take in mind for today is this: experience without context creates false confidence. Experience without context creates false confidence. So, by the way, if you are hiring and if this saves you one mishire, it's already paid for itself. So, take some of this. I'm going to go into a bit more detail now. If you're able to hire the right person and avoid hiring someone who's not right for you, then it's paid for itself. I've already mentioned 3.75 million and time, of course, I can't put a quantity to it, depends very much on the company. So if that's a kind of conversation you're open to have, then make sure you DM me. So let's look at how do you progress from this. So what can you do instead? You don't just look at history. History is important. Of course, it's an indicator of their past record. It's an indicator of the quality of person you're dealing with. So that is important. But judgment in this new terrain is more important. So here's 4 questions you want to be asking. What do you escalate and how fast? So most medtech failures don't come from unknown problems. They come from known problems that were escalated too late. So a strong leader escalates early while options still exist. They understand that delay is a decision. A weak fit for your company is someone who tries to solve it first, the problem, optimizes for looking competent, and treats escalation as failure. So, as a board of directors, as a CEO, what you're really learning is from this asking this question is, does this person protect the organization, or are they too busy protecting their reputation? So what do you escalate? That's a question you want to be asking, and how fast. The next question to ask them is, what do you do when the data is incomplete? So what does this matter? Many experienced leaders come from environments where data is mature, metrics are reliable, decisions are reversible. That's not what happens in medtech environments. Strong leader knows what must be known versus what can be assumed. They make provisions for decisions and they build in checkpoints. A weak fit for your company would be somebody who freezes at this question. They overanalyze or fill gaps with confidence rather than judgment. So, as a board, what you're really asking is, can this person move responsibility when certainty is not available? Can this person move responsibly when certainty isn't available? So the third question is, what trade-offs do you refuse to make under pressure? What trade-offs won't you make, basically? So in medtech, pressure usually comes from timelines, investors, commercial urgency, and competitive fear. The wrong trade-off decisions often look reasonable in the moment: cutting documentation corners, delaying escalation, rationalizing risk. But the strong leader knows their red lines. They can articulate them clearly. It holds them even when it costs time or goodwill. So I'm from a marketing and a sales background, and typically we are go, go, go. But actually, somebody who is a good CTO or particularly CMO are those who are able to put the brakes on, not to stop you, but from stopping you, not to stop you from going forward, but stopping you from stalling altogether. And you're not a car, you're a plane. You don't want to be stalling in midair. A weak fit adjusts principles to suit the moment. They justify shortcuts retrospectively. So, as a board, what you're learning from asking this question is, where does this person draw the line when it hurts? And the final question for you to establish with the potential candidate is, what breaks first when the system is under pressure? So, why does this matter? Every organization has weak points, including yours. Communication, documentation, decision rights, interfaces between teams, they're all biggies. So, a strong leader will they'll know where stress concentrates, plans for degradation, protects the fragile parts. A weak fit would be someone who assumes resilience, overestimates process strength, gets surprised when predictable things fail. So, as a board, by asking this question, the question that what breaks first when the system is under pressure, you're asking, really wanting to know, does this person see the system or just their function? Say a senior hire, whether it be CTO, CMO, you are looking for not an employee, but a partner. I don't even want to use the word leader. They're a partner. They are someone who thinks for the benefit of the organization, of the board, for all the key stakeholders concerned, and of course, patients. So stop hiring for where someone has been, their CV. Start testing how they think when the map stops working. Thanks for watching, and make sure, if you want to stay connected, then DM me and let's talk soon. Bye for now.